Hello, everybody. So nice to be here. Today, I will tell you about um, a AI product called Engage and some of the uh, projects that we've been doing with Engage on polling and using AI to poll participants about the current electoral cycle. And I will tell you about a couple of studies and some of the takeaways from those studies. And in doing so, also show you how Engage works and the general methodology that it uses. My own personal background is that I'm a qualitative and quantitative researcher, and I've been using Engage for a lot of studies that really span across a variety of different domains, but today I'll talk about polling. So in general, Engage is an AI platform that is able to conduct interviews using AI so that you can give AI instructions in the form of an interviewer guide, and it will conduct interviews, and then it's able to conduct interviews with thousands of people in parallel. So you're able to collect a lot of data very quickly. And it then can analyze those data using a variety of different analytic methods, including thematic analysis and mixed methods approaches. And we've been using Engage in collaboration with Siena Research Institute to conduct polls over the last couple of months. And the way that we conduct this collaboration is that Siena does the traditional probability quantitative polling. And then in parallel, we use Engage to interview people qualitatively to produce additional insights. And the original study that we conducted, this is going back a couple of months ago, was a qualitative poll of about 5,000 people in 6 battleground states. And we addressed a variety of questions with that poll, including this group called the double haters. These are people who don't like Donald Trump and they don't like Joe Biden, but yet they're voting for one of them. And so we're trying to understand qualitatively, what is it exactly that's kind of, what makes these groups tick? In light of recent events, given that one of these candidates is no longer running, it's not really all that, it's not as relevant as it was before, the findings. And so I will share with you, there's also 2 recent qualitative polling studies that we conducted that are probably somewhat more relevant and probably more interesting at this point. Excuse me. So the first study we conducted over the last couple of days in terms of what people think about Kamala Harris, particularly Democrats. And then the second study was done last week where we interviewed people about after Donald Trump, after the assassination attempts, there was a lot of conversations about unity and how the country is very, polarized and everybody seems to really dislike each other. And so we wanted to understand whether there's any desire from greater unity and what might that look like. Are people more interested in compromising? So let me first show you how Engage works. And let's say you want to create a study. It could be done from scratch. I'll just show you very quickly how a study can be generated with Engage automatically. So you can basically enter just a couple of lines. If you're creating a study, it could be about any topic, it could be about any products, right? It could be about any question in social science research. So let's say in the last few days, Joe Biden announced that he will not run for re-election. Kamala Harris is now the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party. I want to survey people about what they think about Kamala Harris. I'm going to just click generate. So it'll take maybe a minute or so, but what will happen is that the system will generate a qualitative interview, and it'll include an interviewer guide, which is kind of similar to the kind of guide that you would give to a human interviewer, right? Except that the guide is actually given to AI. And so the AI is going to follow that guide in order to kind of structure its follow-up conversations. Okay, so it'll take a minute for it to generate this, but what you'll see is that the kind of interview that it generates includes several anchor questions. So you think about like a semi-structured interview. So it's anywhere between 3 to 5 anchor questions. And then for each anchor question, there are instructions for how to follow up. So while it's working on that study, let me show you what a typical study looks like. So if we want to interview people about Kamala Harris, so this is another study that was generated previously by Engage. And again, what you're seeing here is a couple of anchor questions, right? To begin with, how do you feel about Joe Biden dropping out? What are your thoughts about Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee running against Donald Trump? And so there are a variety of these kinds of questions. When you click on, and then this is the instruction guide that's that can be either generated by AI, or you can yourself put in whatever instructions you want to put in there. When you click on this question right here, you can have kind of a simulated responses. So here, you can see how AI would conduct the interview. So this is like putting yourself as a participant in the participant's shoes. So here, this question says, what are your thoughts about Kamala Harris, right? As a Democratic nominee. So let's say you say something very short. I think she is great. And then you click here. And so the AI thinks for a second, and then it generates a follow-up response, which is, well, what is it about Kamala Harris that you find particularly admirable, right? Can you provide some specifics? Are there any elements or policies you find compelling? The reason why it's asking these questions is because we told the AI to kind of get the underlying reasons and emotions, and really to understand what it is that's kind of driving a person to like her. And so the interview could go on. You can specify how long you want the interview to go on for. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it could be shorter, it could be longer. Once the data are collected, this is kind of what you would see here, is a series of specific interviews. And so this is just a conversation between the AI and this participant, and you get all the participants here on this view. And then the most important thing are the insights, right? The insights are the data analytic insights that are generated, and there are a couple of different types. I'll just show you a couple of the ones that are most relevant here. So one of the things you can do is you can generate a kind of like a sentiment query. So here, what we did was we asked Engage to measure people's sentiment toward Kamala Harris on a scale of 10, very positive, to 1, very negative. And what you can see here is that it kind of generates this distribution where it shows you that actually the vast majority of people are very positive about Kamala Harris, and this is just Democrats that we interviewed. And then for each person who was included in this analysis, you can click here and you can see exactly the quotes that are generated. And you can see, like, this is the rating, right? These people rated a 9, which means that they're very positive about Kamala Harris. And you can see here that, yeah, this person, is really, really likes her, right? I think she can blow him away. She's a mumbling, bubbling idiot, whatever, right? And she's great. And oh my goodness, she will reinstate Roe v. Wade. Like when it asks, okay, so why do you like her, right? What are some of the reasons? And you can then go down here, and you'll see the people who didn't like her, right? So she's a cop. Like this person's kind of short about it, but this person, well, I don't think she'll do all that well. She's not a good speaker. She's not a good debater, whatever it is that this person thought to make them think negatively. But overall, there was a range of opinion, and you kind of see that in the way that these have been sorted. But overall, what we can see is that the majority of sentiment is extremely positive and very, very high. Although, again, there's a range of opinions. So we conducted a number of studies like this. I'll show you really quickly this study on national unification. We basically asked people to share with us whether they think the society is very polarized, and what might national unification look like. Are people willing to compromise on various positions? And what's interesting is that we think that the nation is very polarized, but actually what we found here is that the vast majority of here's another query, right? Are people willing to compromise for the sake of national unification? And what we found overwhelmingly is that the vast majority of people do. And we found this to be actually very interesting because from social media, you find these extremes, right? Extreme conversations. But when you interview the average person, people in the middle, right? Or the representative samples of people in the United States, you find that it's actually quite more positive. And we have here a blog that we just posted that I'm happy to share the link with you so you can actually read. This blog has all these conversations about national unity. And so here, for example, is a 41-year-old white woman, Democrat, somewhat liberal. She's a mother, and what she shares her perspective. So here's one conversation that we had. So there are just a bunch of conversations that it's really fascinating to read. Some people write a lot more, provide a lot more content than others, but all of these conversations are very informative. And overall, it speaks to Engage's ability to very quickly collect a lot of data, conduct thematic analysis, create categorizations of different types of. I know very quickly in the last 30 seconds, I'll just show you. Here's another study that we conducted where we were looking at what bothers people, what are people afraid of when they discuss diversity, right? What are the common fears? And another type of analysis here that Engage can do is you can kind of ask it to create different themes for each distinct type of common fear and to group them together. So this is kind of like a thematic analysis, right? And what Engage is going to do is going to give you the main common themes that sort of emerge from the conversations. And so obviously there's a lot more that I would love to have talked about, but in the interest of time, I'm happy to take any of your questions. And for any questions, please feel free to contact me, Leib Litman at CloudResearch.com. I'm happy to have answer any of your questions, or if any of you are interested in more in-depth demos, I'm happy to schedule those as well.